Defense in Madden 26 is brutal this year. If you feel like you can't stop anything, I got you. Here are 5 simple tips that'll help you win more games. Let's jump right in. The first tip I'd have is to go down to coach adjustments and make sure those are set before every game. So let's go through the list that I use. Feel free to copy. First off, auto flip defensive play call, leave it on so your team will go to the strong side of the field wherever they need to be. Cornerback matchups, leave on balance. This is actually very important. If you go to buy overall or buy speed, buy height, any of these, there is glitches in Madden where that will totally mess up your defense and it will be a free touchdown for your opponent. Defensive motion response, just leave that on default. You don't want your team to not adjust whenever the other team's adjusting. The option read key, I keep on conservative to make sure that your team keeps an eye on the QB. Your job as the user is to make sure the running back does not have his open lane. For option pitch key, I put this one on aggressive so it focuses on the running back. Let's say on speed options, you want to make sure your team is taking away the running back because most people want that ball to be pitched. Your user then is responsible for keeping the QB contained. The RPO read key I also put on aggressive to keep the running back taken care of. You might want to change this if you are facing a team like the Ravens or the Bills or any team that has a fast QB because they might want to keep the ball. RPO pass key I put on conservative. That way it will focus on keeping the pass covered. Your user then is responsible for filling up the hole for the run. Strip ball I leave on balanced. Tackling I will always leave on balanced. I don't really see much reason to change these. Now for your zone drops, you might want to adjust these depending on the player that you are facing. Let's say your opponent is always throwing drags or little short out routes. You might want to put these on 5, or if they're going really short, 0. This will make sure that your team comes down and covers those, not leaving any room for them to get yards after the catch. Curl flats can do the same thing to take away slants or drags. If your opponent is just spamming you with slants and drags, you might want to put these on 0 or 5 once again. But let's say your opponent is doing curl routes that are up about 10 to 15 yards. You might want to set these up to 10 to 15 to make sure those are covered. This is very much dependent on the opponent that you're facing. You got to be flexible. Same goes for hooks. Safety depth is pretty important, I would say. I personally leave mine on close. That keeps your safeties down in the box. It will help take away the run. If your safeties are fast, you don't have much to worry about getting beat over the top. But if your safeties are slow, you might want to go closer to loose. That's more of a preference thing. And it also comes down to your opponent. If they're trying to run the ball a lot, I'd go close. I wouldn't go quite to tight because then you will give up a lot over the top. Safety width, I don't really mess with too much. However, if you're facing someone that really just wants to beat you on the sidelines, maybe you spread them or even go wide. But if you're facing someone that wants to attack you in the seams within the numbers, you might want to go on pinch. That way your safeties play more in. Safety midpoint, I don't really think you should worry about. So that's it for the coach adjustments. These will immediately take your game up to the next step. The next tip I want to bring up is coverage shells. I'm going to go into a 3-4 under. Let's say you want to run cover 3, which I personally don't recommend because you will give up the seams. Let me show you as an example. So here, the defense is in a cover 3. Now, if you see, they're going to play their zones. So if the offense wants to run a streak like I have on Zay Flowers over there, they're going to be able to snap this ball and immediately throw it right in that seam for a large gain. That will be open almost every single time unless your user here covers it. Once again, if they do a seam beater, let's go with Andrews this time, that will get open almost every single time for a large gain. That was misthrown, but you saw how it was open. Now you might be wondering how shells can help you. Let's say you shell to a cover 4 and you come out in a cover 3. So now we're out here in a cover 4 shell. If you read the safeties in the corners, it looks like cover 4 if you are the offensive mind, but we are truthfully in a cover 3. So your opponent might be willing to not look for, let's say, this streak because they see that your safety is covering that. So they're going to come out here and they might now miss that and you might get home. Now, this doesn't come without risk because let's say your opponent doesn't buy into your shell and they still put a streak. You are still in a cover 3 where you are going to leave something wide open for them. However, it might make them miss the read, which will save you from giving up those long yardage plays. The next point I want to bring up is personnel. So each one of these formations here have a different heavy personnel or a lighter personnel. For instance, in 3-4, you're going to have three defensive linemen. You'll still have your edge rushers, but that's heavy personnel in there that might be able to stop the run. While, for instance, in dime, you're going to have two D tackles and your linebackers are going to fill in that role more. And you might not stop the run as well, but you are going to play better pass coverage. I would say nickel is a good middle ground, and that's probably why it's one of the most popular formations to use. You still have two D tackles and two edge rushers, but your two D tackles play more in on the line, and your linebackers are right behind them to back up the run. It's one of the more balanced formations to take away both the pass and the run. But it can definitely be helpful to run a 3-4 against an opponent or a 4-4 against an opponent that is wanting to run on you. The next point I want to bring up is your user. You want to user a linebacker or one of your sub linebackers. This will help you be able to take away passes that your opponents are spamming or clog up the hole in the run. Now, let's say that you're using a D lineman. You are not going to be involved in the pass game, and your linebacker is just going to stick to his assignment in his zone. If your opponent is spamming a certain route on you, then you can't cover it, and you just have to hope that your defense will. That's not going to end up too good for you. For instance, here, I'm going to be using the D lineman. You see how much is open because your linebackers are just playing their assignments. Now, I won't be able to actually pass the ball here with Lamar because I can only hold one controller at a time. But I'm going to show you how many routes you can take away if you are using your linebacker. But I'm going to be able to show you how many options you're able to take away from them and maybe force them into making a mistake. So I'm going to snap the ball here. And look, you can take away these routes, back up, and take away that route. Your linebacker, whenever you're not using him, is not going to do all of that. But you were able to take those routes away, and maybe he even throws one of those right at you and you get the interception. So it's very important to learn how to use one of your linebackers to take away the middle of the field. That's the most open spot that they're probably going to have, and it's the easiest throws. Now, the last point I want to bring up here is to be flexible with your defense and not spam the same play. You'll see a lot of people that you face spamming mid blitz every single play. And while it can be very effective against amateur players, whenever you play someone that knows what they're doing, they're going to beat it every time. So I'm going to show the pros and the cons of this play, how it would work for you and how it would really mess you up. First off, I'm going to show you how it would work for you. You see how fast he got home right there? Your opponent might not be able to get a ball off in that time, and that's great that you got the sack. But if the opponent you are going against is good and knows how to make an adjustment, that is going to get beat almost every singular time. So this is the play I'm going to run for offense, and this is the play that they are running on defense. You see how the man on Henry is very far away from him on the field? That's going to leave him open almost immediately, and you're not going to have any zones or any other people around him to cover that. As well as anyone else might get wide open, and because you rush so many, that play is going to be open for a big time loss for you. Now, I'm going to show the con of running a mid blitz. If your opponent knows what you're doing and you spam the same play, they're going to come out in an offense that can beat it. For instance, quick passes like that, you just gave up 15 yards. And they're going to keep finding ways to exploit your defense over and over. So if you want to run this, that's fine. But the second that they make an adjustment, you have to as well. You cannot spam the same play and expect to win. I hope these tips help you win more games. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe and drop down in the comments what else you want tips for. I'd be happy to do it. I hope you all have a great day. Peace out.